They said he wouldn't survive the 90s, labeled him, you know, a flash in the pan, a gimmick.
Controversy machine.
Exactly, designed for this like spectacular burnout. But against all those predictions, he didn't just survive, he transcended. Built an estimated $250 million empire, etched this enduring legacy into popular culture, and apparently it was all powered by one incredibly consistent, almost unseen habit.
Just one habit.
Yeah, repeated religiously every single day. This isn't just about raw talent, though. I mean, obviously he has that in spades.
Okay.
But this is about something more fundamental. Obsession, structure, and this relentless, almost monastic discipline.
That's the surprising part, isn't it?
It really is. So today, we're taking a deep dive into the mind of Marshall Mathers, the enigmatic figure the world knows, maybe controversially, as Eminem. We're going to unpack his unique approach to success, how he saw his creative output not as some, you know, fickle muse, but as a job.
Right.
A rigorous job.
Discipline is his religion, you could almost say.
Exactly. Our mission here in this deep dive is to pull out the most potent, maybe counterintuitive insights from the source material. How someone from, well, truly from nothing, transformed repetition, silence, and his deepest pain into platinum, into influence, into this unshakable career.
You've quite the story.
So for you listening, the core question is this. Can one seemingly small, maybe even boring habit truly change everything?
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Because when you think of Eminem, the public image, it's all chaos, right?
Yep.
Rebellion, raw anger.
Totally.
But what our sources show about his private life, his work approach, it's just this stark contrast. Highly structured, intensely disciplined, almost monastic, like you said.
Monastic is a good word for it.
And that paradox, I think, is absolutely central to understanding why he's lasted so long.
Yeah.
We usually think massive success means, you know, being out there constantly.
Right. Self-promotion, the celebrity hustle.
Exactly. But Eminem's journey, it suggests true unshakable success is less about the external showmanship and way more about the internal architecture.
Internal architecture. I like that.
Yeah, the invisible frameworks, the systems, the quiet daily stuff that builds a foundation, you know, one that no storm, no backlash, no personal crisis can really shake.
He didn't just build a stage. He built a fortress.
That's a great way to put it, a fortress around his whole operation.
And that fortress mindset, it seems to start with a really counterintuitive idea about money. Let's be real. Most people want money for, you know, projection.
Sure, status, looking important.
Showing off, I made it.
Yeah.
But for Eminem, the sources say it was radically different. He didn't chase money for luxury. He wanted it to almost disappear.
Or maybe for control. Certainty.
Yes, exactly. Absolute control. Unshakable certainty. He didn't grow up dreaming of mansions. His dreams were way more primal.
Just getting by.
Just surviving another week without getting evicted. Born Marshall Mathers III, 1972. Raised by a single mom, Detroit. Rough neighborhoods.
Rundown homes, trailer park.
Constantly moving. Food stamps weren't just like a backup plan. They were dinner a lot. And what's striking is even back then, he never talked about getting rich like other artists might. He talked about something more visceral.
Getting out.
Just getting out, escaping that constant, you know, instability, the anxiety of having absolutely nothing.
And that distinction, that shift from getting rich to getting out, it's absolutely critical. You have to grasp that to understand his whole financial philosophy.
Right.
For him, getting out wasn't about buying fancy things or getting likes on Instagram, obviously. It was about stability.
Right.
Ownership. Getting this, like, almost sacred sense of control over his own life, his environment, and maybe most importantly, his story.
His narrative.
Yeah, his upbringing taught him a brutal lesson. When you've truly had nothing, the real value of money isn't showing it off. It's the certainty it provides. That certainty lets you own your ground, literally and figuratively. Never be beholden to anyone again.
So when the money did start rolling in, like astonishingly fast after the Slim Shady LP in 99.
Oh yeah, over $10 million that first year alone. Crazy numbers.
He didn't act like a typical overnight success story.
Not at all. While everyone else was rushing to LA.
Right, the industry hub.
He stayed put
Right.
in Detroit.
Yeah.
And instead of buying, you know, a fleet of luxury cars.
He kept that beat up Ford Mustang, is that right?
Yeah. Famously kept the Mustang. His philosophy, born from scarcity, was crystal clear. He said, money isn't for display, it's for defense.
Wow. Money isn't for display, it's for defense. That's powerful.
It really is. It was a shield, right? A defense against ever going back to that state of having nothing. A way to control his environment and, crucially, his creative work.
So he wouldn't be controlled by the need for more money.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Right.
How did he apply that financially? The sources show he poured a big chunk of that early money into launching Shady Records. Now, lots of artists start labels, right? Sign talent, expand the brand. But for Eminem, it wasn't just about signing artists, though that became huge later.
Right, that was almost secondary at first.
It was primarily about getting complete, unassailable control over the business side of his music. He wasn't trying to be a mogul in that flashy public way.
No, not flaunting power.
He was trying to protect his voice, his artistic integrity, his, very existence. He said, I never wanted someone else to own my pain.
Such a raw line.
It is. And it's not just poetry about artistic freedom. It's a financial strategy, a business strategy. Own the narrative, own the product, own how that deeply personal, often painful product gets out there.
Precisely. Launching Shady Records was basically empire building, but an empire built on control and that internal architecture we talked about, not just outward expansion for show.
Right.
Think about signing 50 Cent in 2002. That wasn't just like a creative whim or mentorship. It was a strategically brilliant financial move.
Absolutely. Get rich or die trying.
Huge.
Yeah.
Massive. Sold over 12 million copies worldwide. And every single one of those sales funneled revenue right back into Shady Records.
Wow.
And that pattern repeated, right? Obi Trice, D12, Stat Quo. Eminem masterfully went from just being the performer to being, as the sources put it, the house, the system, the architecture.
He built the machine.
He built the whole ecosystem for his art and the art of people he believed in. And what's truly remarkable is how different this was from the typical celebrity lifestyle.
Totally. No Instagram flexing.
Zero Instagram, rarely seen on red carpets, no reality shows. He barely even left Detroit. Preferred staying in his secure, gated place outside the city.
Deliberate choice.
Completely deliberate, rooted in that mantra he lived by. Freedom doesn't come from what you own. It comes from what you don't owe.
Powerful.
His wealth was built specifically to free him from external pressures, not trap him in that cycle of consume, display, consume.
And fast forward to now, 2025. It clearly paid off. Estimated net worth, what, $250 million?
Around that, yeah. Based on Forbes and other financial sources, it's substantial.
But what's genuinely fascinating, what makes his strategy so different, is the lack of typical celebrity luxury stuff.
Right. No public records of him dumping money into luxury brands, risky crypto, overpriced fashion.
None of that. His wealth is anchored in music royalties, owning his master recordings, which is huge for an artist like him.
Absolutely monumental. That's the long game.
And the equity in the artists he built up through Shady Records.
Solid assets. Real value.
And here's where it gets really interesting, almost countercultural today. Turning down those massive endorsement deals, like $20 million or more.
Yeah, think about that. Millions. Just to put his face on an ad.
And he just says, I don't want to be in your ad. I want to be in my world.
That refusal, that deliberate scarcity in a world where everyone's selling something.
Ironically made him more valuable.
Exactly. Created this mystique, this sense that he's unbuyable, which in turn jacked up his perceived value.
Now, you might be thinking, listening to this, okay, sure, it's easy for Eminem, a superstar, to turn down $20 million. Not the same for someone starting out.
That's a fair point, absolutely.
Yeah.
His philosophy definitely evolved with his power. Early on, he had to make moves to build that foundation.
Right.
But the underlying lesson, I think, for you, the listener, is still profound. Most people assume money just brings freedom.
But it's only half true.
Right. It brings freedom if you understand its purpose as a tool, right? For control, certainty, creative liberation.
If you don't get that, if you just chase it for show.
It's just another trap. Maybe a shinier one, but still a trap. Eminem flipped that script. Many chase money to escape obscurity. He used it to buy invisibility. His fortune really did become a fortress, not a flag.
A fortress, not a flag. I like that.
It's a key distinction. He used money, like surgically, like a chess master uses pawns. Every move calculated, serving a purpose.
No emotional attachment to just having more.
None. Every dollar, every investment, every decision aimed at that one core goal. Creative control. Owning his voice, his time, his legacy. He never chased the appearance of wealth. He prioritized staying real, protecting his core self. Because, as he seemed to understand, reality is the only currency that doesn't crash.
Wow, that's a heavy quote.
It is. It's a profound counter-narrative to how we usually think about celebrity and money. So the lesson for all of us, really, whatever our bank balance, is that the smartest financial mindset isn't just abundance, it's alignment.
Alignment with who you are.
Deep, unwavering alignment. Using money not to change how people see you, but to solidify who you are, to remember your roots, protect your values.
It makes you ask yourself, honestly, are you just earning to spend? Stuck in that cycle?
Or are you building to stand? Creating a foundation for your real purpose? Are your goals driven by external validation or internal security and freedom? It's a critical difference.
Yeah, it really is. Which perfectly leads into his career strategy, which, again, just flies in the face of industry norms. In an industry obsessed with visibility, constant social media, endless tours, reality shows, viral moments, Eminem built his empire by, well, strategically disappearing.
Sounds crazy, right? A global superstar actively avoiding the spotlight.
A rap icon who isn't always on tour, goes years without an album but somehow never fades. How? Because he didn't just build a career, he built an operating system.
An unshakable operating system. That's good.
From the start, he approached music like war. Not necessarily with other artists, though he had those battles.
Legendary ones.
But war with time itself. He knew hip-hop careers could be short. Flash in the pan, one hit, gone.
Brutally short, often.
He didn't just want to shine for a minute. He wanted to outlast everyone, etch himself in for decades.
And that desire to outlast led to that radical decision in the early 2000s, right at his peak fame.
Yeah.
He retreated deliberately. The whole world wanted more Eminem, more music, more interviews.
And he just backed off.
Consciously created space, turned down huge collaborations, reality shows, TV offers. Instead, he invested his energy, his money, into something most people ignore. Unseen infrastructure.
The quiet stuff behind the scenes.
Exactly. That quiet fortification became his strategic superpower. He built basement studios, his private creative fortress in Detroit.
Not just a recording space.
No, his sanctuary. Writing, producing, meticulously archiving thousands of hours of unreleased stuff. A space for zero distractions, just pure process. And what's fascinating is how he structured the creative process itself. Not as some spontaneous magic, but systematic, almost industrial. He needed that privacy for the intense personal stuff he's known for.
Right. You might see him as this raw, chaotic artist.
Unfiltered rage, yeah.
But behind the scenes, the workflow is meticulous, almost military-grade precise. Sources say every song is versioned, every rhyme tracked.
He had actual rhyme libraries.
Literal rhyme libraries versus indexed by subject, rhyme scheme, syllable count. All filed, categorized, ready to go. He even said it. Creativity isn't chaos, it's design. Imagine him pulling up a file like internal rhymes anger or multisyllabic sadness.
And just having fragments, concepts, wordplay ready, that's shocking almost. Such a contrast to the image.
It really is.
And then that commitment to design went beyond the studio. His business strategy, his team, it reflects the same structure and control. He keeps this incredibly tight inner circle.
Mostly the same people since the late 90s.
Pretty much, especially his manager, Paul Rosenberg. He's not just a partner, he's like a vault. Guardian Eminem's space, vision, privacy. And together, they built this portfolio of projects, investments that generate quiet, steady dividends without needing constant public hype or touring.
Like 8 Mile.
Exactly. 8 Mile in 2002 grossed over $240 million worldwide. Eminem didn't just star in it. He controlled parts of the soundtrack, licensing, distribution.
And that soundtrack was huge, quadruple platinum, still making money today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Shady Records, like we said, not just a vanity label. It's a self-sustaining machine multiplying his reach without him having to be everywhere physically. Every 50-cent hit added revenue and equity to his whole enterprise.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, that idea of career insulation.
Yeah.
The sources say Eminem rarely gets involved in projects unless he can own something tangible. IP, a back-end stake, creative control.
If there's no back end, no stake, no control.
He walks. Even if it's millions on the table, it's not arrogance. It's like this brilliant, ruthless career insulation, ownership over quick cash, every time.
You might think, doesn't that mean missing out? Isn't compromise needed?
Right. It's a valid question. But for him, the risk of losing control, diluting his voice, was always way worse than any missed payday.
And that proved invaluable when he took that break after 2005. Addiction, grief, burnout.
Yeah, a tough period.
But his career didn't collapse. Why? Because he'd built that self-sustaining architecture. Even when he was absent, the catalog earned, royalties grew, Shady Records artists thrived.
So when he came back with Relapse and Recovery...
He didn't need to come back, in a way. Structurally, he never left. The machine kept running.
That's incredible.
Another masterstroke.
Yeah.
Catalog protection. Unlike so many artists who sell off rights early.
Out of necessity or just bad advice?
Right. Eminem held firm. As of 2025, he still owns a significant share of his masters. That single decision ensures generational wealth.
With 220 million records sold, billions of streams. That's a gold mine.
A perpetually appreciating gold mine. Owning masters means you control and earn from every play, every license, every use. Huge long-term revenue and total creative autonomy.
And his approach to relevance, he doesn't chase it.
Lets the work speak. Or lets the absence amplify the work. Remember Kamikaze in 2018?
Dropped out of nowhere, no promo.
Zero promo, just boom, hit #1 in 103 countries. That wasn't luck. It was proof that absence, when earned, becomes power.
Strategic retreats, plus that protected infrastructure, meant when he did reemerge, the impact was huge.
Seismic, often.
So the core lesson here, flying against conventional wisdom, is huge. A true lasting career isn't built on noise, or constant visibility, or chasing trends.
It's built on infrastructure. Those quiet, unseen systems, assets, boundaries that keep working even when you step away.
Be less famous and more inevitable.
I like that. Less famous, more inevitable. It makes you ask, listener, are you chasing visibility and fleeting validation?
Or are you designing a robust system, a quiet architecture, a foundation that simply can't be ignored long term?
That thought leads right into the heart of his blueprint, his daily habits, which were anything but ordinary.
Yeah, most successful people talk morning routines, productivity hacks.
Right.
Eminem built his empire, his legacy, on a singular obsession. Not flashy, not trendy, just one private, borderline obsessive thing he did every day, religiously.
Writing.
Just write it, like a man possessed by an internal rhythm.
Seems simple from the outside, right?
Right.
Notebook, pen, chasing the next rhyme.
Deceptively simple, but that was the engine. That transformed a high school dropout from Detroit into a lyrical legend and a $250 million brand.
And he treated it like a 9-to-5 job. Clocking in, clocking out. His words.
No waiting for glamorous studio inspiration. No divine genius burst. Just structured, grinding hours, scribbling syllables, breaking words apart, flipping rhymes in his head. He saw it as essential work, and he showed up every single day.
And it wasn't just casual scribbling. He built that stack of rhyme boxes, literal shoe boxes.
Filled with scraps, napkins, Post-its.
Yeah, each with fragments. 2 words that rhymed, a sentence with a cool rhythm, a punchline needing a setup, an image. Not failed ideas, inventory.
Raw material, filed away. Why?
He'd just shrug and say, because you never know when it'll connect. That's not random. It's systems thinking for creativity. Writing without immediate purpose, trusting the process until purpose finds those fragments later.
But the weird habit wasn't just writing, it was writing without purpose, accumulating, trusting.
Exactly.
And this discipline wasn't born from success, it was forged in survival.
Right. Before fame, before platinum, grueling factory jobs, washing dishes, comic book store shifts.
But always that notebook, always a pen, writing on lunch breaks, bus rides, even on the toilet, he admitted.
Mind always churning rhymes, an unstoppable loop. Observing, internalizing, crafting. It was more than creativity, it was a lifeline. Processing reality, keeping his inner world alive, no matter how bleak things were outside.
Shows how creativity can be fundamental survival.
And over years, that obsessive habit literally rewired his brain. He stopped hearing sentences linearly. He heard cadence, flow, alliteration, assonance.
You said he'd hear someone talk and automatically break it down. Syllables, rhyme potential.
Unconsciously. That's not just talent, that's neuroplasticity. A brain reshaped by thousands of hours of deliberate, obsessive repetition. He built an unparalleled lyrical instrument in his head.
And even during his worst addiction, mid-2000s, immense darkness, he never stopped writing.
He credits it as an anchor.
Yeah.
Pulled him back. He said, I wrote even when I didn't believe in myself, because if I stopped, I knew I'd lose more than just words.
Wow. It became fundamental to his identity, his will to survive. Ironic, right, so public. Yet his most profound work was done in secret.
And think about the sheer volume. Fewer than 400 official songs released.
But estimates of over 10,000 verses written privately.
At least. Less than 5% of his output ever heard. The rest, pure practice, unseen prep, defense against block, self-doubt, pressure.
That repetition built psychological armor.
Became therapy, rhythm, ritual. A constant in the chaos, while others rely on moods, drugs, ghostwriters. Eminem's weirdest flex, he just outwrites everybody. Still, outworks them in the quiet, unseen moments.
So the powerful lesson here, Your weirdest habit, the unseen, maybe pointless seeming one, might be your most powerful edge if you repeat it long enough.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What do you practice in silence that might one day become your superpower? What quiet ritual are you underestimating?
Yeah, that thought flows right into his life philosophy, how it shapes his decisions. Most people try to move on from the past, right? Bury bad memories.
Sure, understandable.
But Eminem, sources say, he never really does. He rewinds. Keeps the past close, almost obsessively. Listens to old demos, bad songs even.
Not out of pride, but as a ritual.
Yeah.
A compass.
Exactly. Memory isn't just pain for him, it's precision, an anchor. His core philosophy, if I forget who I was, I can't trust who I am.
That single line, wow, it explains so much about his decisions.
Doesn't chase trends, doesn't chase fame for fame's sake. He pursues alignment, the brutal, uncomfortable kind.
Which is why he says no way more than yes.
No to movies, shows, collabs that don't feel real, not because he's difficult, but because he's allergic to compromise on his truth.
Like after 8 Mile blew up in 2003, Hollywood's calling big roles, big money.
And he turned them all down.
All of them. Why? His reason. None of them sounded like something I'd actually say. That's not ego. That's decision hygiene.
Yeah.
Filtering out anything not authentic.
Decision hygiene. I like that.
He applies that standard to everything. Endorsements, album themes. Remember the $20 million Super Bowl ad offer in 2010 for an energy drink? Walked away. Later explained, just shrugged. I just didn't like the way they talked to me. No drama, no negotiation, just clarity. Optimizing for authenticity, always.
Radical clarity.
And those close to him say he uses this short, ruthless internal rulebook for big decisions. 3 questions.
Okay, what are they?
1, it's true to me. 2, would I still stand by it if no one clapped? And 3, would I regret doing it if I never got paid?
And if any answer is no.
He walks. Always. No debate.
And that rigorous, almost Spartan system, the consequence is longevity.
Absolutely. His voice never got diluted. His message never bent to trends. His impact never faded. He never pretended, so he never had to maintain a fake persona.
Which is why 25 years later, he still sounds like him. Still raw, authentic, still writing in the dark. Audiences still trust him.
But that clarity, that commitment, it came at a cost. Lost friends, cut ties, accused of being cold, controlling.
And maybe sometimes that's true. It's a hard approach.
Definitely not for the faint of heart. But in his world, betrayal, parasites, fatal fame pressures, he sees emotional minimalism as armor, not cruelty. He said, I trust no one until they prove they should be in my life. Even then, I trust them to be who they are, not who I wish they were. Stoic realism. But it's how he survived fame and his own demons.
And that same philosophy guided his recovery after the 2007 overdose.
Profoundly. Rock bottom. Near death. He had to rebuild one decision at a time. Not just detoxing his body, designing a new life, a new internal system.
Removed almost everyone not loyal, rebuilt routines, rewrote his view of success.
Exactly, and consciously rewrote who he was willing to become. Since then, every decision rooted in that internal truth, not numbers, charts, opinions, just, is this me? Is this authentic?
And strangely, beautifully, that intensely personal filter made him globally relevant.
Paradoxical, right? In a world of filters and spin, his raw, unvarnished truth just resonates across cultures, generations.
So what's the takeaway for the listener? Beyond celebrity. The paradox. The more clearly you know who you are, the fewer decisions you have to agonize over.
It's not confidence creating clarity. It's clarity built brick by brick that builds unshakable confidence.
It invites us all to ask, are my decisions shaped by who I truly am, my core values, or by who others expect me to be, external pressures?
It's a tough question, but leads to real authenticity and a clearer path.
Yeah. Which brings us to his unique approach to power, social influence. Some change culture by being loud, dominating conversations, chasing headlines.
Right.
Eminem changed culture by being undeniable. He wasn't supposed to succeed, right? White rapper, Detroit, 90s. Hip-hop rooted in Black experience.
Dismissed as a joke, a gimmick, a novelty. They laughed, booed, said he'd fade fast.
And then he started rapping.
And everyone shut up.
What's fascinating is how he overcame that skepticism, not through theatrics demanding attention, but sheer skill, surgical precision with words.
From his earliest battle raps, he knew no one can argue with precision. When every syllable hits, every rhyme stings, every flow disrupts expectations. Respect is compelled. Even enemies had to admit his mastery.
But what made his influence even stronger was refusing to belong or soften his edges.
Never bent his voice or message to fit expectations. He brought his raw pain, darkness, mental illness struggles, addiction, rage, unfiltered, to the mic. exactly as it was.
Sometimes ugly, often provocative, always real. And that shocking authenticity flipped the script on vulnerability and power in hip-hop.
Instead of forcing his way in as an outsider, he redefined vulnerability within the genre. Didn't just rap about status, wealth, bravado.
He rapped about shame, exposed collapse, his own and others. Songs like Stan, Cleaning Out My Closet, Rock Bottom. Not just hits, raw confessions wrapped in rhyme, laying bare the human condition like few dared.
Strange bravery, right?
Yeah.
Making your deepest wounds your public art.
Which created this strange, powerful influence. Empathy-driven dominance. Millions followed, not just because he was rich or controversial.
They followed because he said what they couldn't. Took their pain, made it poetic, gave sadness structure.
That's why his fan base crosses all lines. Race, gender, class, geography. Kid in Norway, teen in Atlanta, worker in India, addict in Canada, quoting the same verse, feeling seen. He spoke for them, not just to them.
Yet amidst all this influence, he never played the influencer game.
No brand deals, generic motivational speeches, filtered social media.
Mostly silence, punctuated by the occasional lyrical nuclear bomb.
Like Killshot in 2018, ending a career with pure, venomous precision.
Or Music to be Murdered by in 2020, dropping chilling gun violence stats, uncomfortable truths.
So can you really sustain that influence today without playing the social media game?
Eminem's answer seems to be yes, that's the paradox. He influences by refusing to manipulate. Doesn't beg for clicks, feign positivity, pretend to have answers. He just bleeds truth into his art, lets the ripple happen.
And it always does. The more honest, the more universal.
But, like always, it comes at a cost. Banned, censored, sued, protested, labeled toxic, dangerous. And some criticism is fair.
His lyrics aren't always defensible. He's crossed lines, caused harm.
Absolutely. But here's the crucial part. He never hides, never deflects, never blames a ghostwriter or PR. He owns it. The good, the brutal, the unacceptable.
And in that radical ownership lies his power, cultural resilience.
Who can be hated, controversial, but never erased. Even opponents quote him, acknowledge his impact. Decades in, he's still this stark, uncomfortable cultural mirror. You might not like the reflection, but you can't look away.
So the lesson, strongest influence isn't about being liked, approved of, or seen as good.
It's about being so real, so undeniable, people are forced to feel something, engage, even if it's uncomfortable. Make you wonder, do people hear your voice because you shout constantly?
Or because what you say when you speak simply cannot be ignored?
That question leads us right to the most dramatic turning point. A masterclass in crisis strategy, 2007. Eminem essentially died.
Medically, not metaphorically. Years of addiction, Vicodin, Valium, methadone. His body just gave up.
Rushed to the ER. Near fatal overdose. Doctor said he was 2 hours from death. Rock bottom. The price of unchecked fame, numbed pain, internal collapse.
But what happened next wasn't the typical celebrity comeback. No fireworks, reality shows, choreographed red carpets.
Much quieter. Built brick by painful brick. Forged in the fire of routine. No press tours, tearful interviews for sympathy. Just therapy, running shoes, blank notebooks.
Checked into rehab for survival, not PR. Cut ties with almost everyone not essential to recovery. Kept only a few loyal friends. Started rebuilding from absolute zero.
Not zero sales, but zero self-belief. Zero health. Zero creative momentum. He admitted his brain was so fogged he couldn't rhyme. Had to learn how to rap again, literally.
Not a comeback, a full system reboot. Re-engineering himself, ground up. Painful, physically, psychologically.
And to rebuild, he didn't wait for motivation. He clung to structure, strict routine. Wake early, run 10K, eat clean, hours writing, even if it was garbage at first.
Struggling for coherent thoughts, let alone rhymes. Recording verses just to regain rhythm, muscle memory. Proving to himself he still could.
Treated sobriety like a military mission. Every day a test, every habit a brick. He didn't return to music for money or relevance. He returned because writing made him feel real. Connected him to himself.
Without it, he said, I didn't know who I was. Primal need, an anchor. The purpose wasn't external validation, it was internal survival.
When Relapse dropped in 2009, reception was mixed. Critics divided. Messy, disjointed, maybe a step back.
But for him,
It was a heartbeat, the sound of crawling back. Every rhyme a lifeline. Every syllable saying, I'm still here, alive, marked his return to the craft, regardless of critics.
then recovery in 2010, more vulnerable, honest, stripped down.
And the world responded. Triple platinum. Grammys, Not Afraid, became this anthem for broken people standing up again.
A voice for people battling demons.
But, crucially, he didn't make it for charts or a commercial comeback. He made it to prove to himself that healing could find a rhythm, could rhyme. that even in despair, he could still create meaning.
From then on, his focus shifted, stopped chasing peaks, fleeting fame highs, committed to the long game.
Fame addiction gone. Need for external validation gone. Focus narrowed. Relentless work, firm boundaries, longevity that defied expectations.
And longevity became his weapon. Most rappers burn out. Eminem, still charting after 25 years, breaking records, streaming billions. All from Detroit.
Not LA, New York, London. His hometown. Makes you rethink success, right? Not just the explosive start, but the quiet, consistent finish.
Even his newer ventures reflect that. Mom's Spaghetti Restaurant.
Yeah, named after the Lose Yourself meme. Small walk-up place. Not a global franchise plan.
A low-key, real tribute to his past, in his city, for his people, earned authentic commitment to roots.
What makes his crisis strategy genius isn't just survival, it's how he turned recovery into a system. Sobriety, ongoing process, creativity, structure, legacy forged in the quiet valleys of rebuilding.
He stopped performing for others and started protecting himself. Health, mind, story, future.
And became rarer, maybe more dangerous now in his 50s with wisdom, focus, quiet control than in his explosive 20s.
The lesson from his journey through crisis. Comebacks aren't about proving people wrong, regaining glory for an audience.
At their core, they're about proving to yourself you still have a voice, a spirit, something vital worth fighting for.
It forces a profound, maybe uncomfortable question for you, listener. If you lost everything tomorrow, health, career, identity, how would you begin again? What's the first brick you lay?
Eminem never asked to be the voice of a generation. He just refused to be silenced by his mind, circumstances, addiction. If you've listened this far and are still just thinking about the money or fame.
You've missed the whole point.
Exactly. This isn't fundamentally about success in the usual sense. It is, above all, a story about structure.
It's about what happens when someone takes their deepest wounds, pain, chaotic thoughts, and instead of letting them consume everything, they build a routine around them, a habit.
A structure.
It's about showing up every day. The good days, the inspired days, especially the bad days, the empty, defeated days, doing the thing anyway. Not because anyone's watching, not for applause, but because if you don't, you risk ceasing to exist, losing yourself, your reason.
He didn't succeed just because he was talented. And yes, exceptionally talented. But others had talent and burned out. He won because he was obsessively repeatable.
He consciously, relentlessly, methodically turned chaos into craft, rage into rhythm, confusion into catalog.
Every habit, every ritual wasn't glamorous, mostly invisible. But each one stacked, day after day, year after year, until they became a fortress no pain, no criticism could break through.
And let's be honest, most of us fail not from lack of inspiration. We fail because we abandon the structure, the routines, the systems when inspiration fades.
That's the uncomfortable truth he understood. Feelings are temporary, systems are sovereign, the bedrock of lasting achievement.
It's tempting to romanticize his story, spontaneous genius, lightning strike talent, but that disrespects the effort. What he built was mechanical, precision-based, even maybe boring.
Didn't wait for motivation or inspiration. He clocked in.
Yeah.
Every single day. Why has he outlasted generations, still charting at 51, versus still hit harder? Because he never stopped building the machine.
A machine of hours, boundaries, silence, unpraised rituals.
And maybe that's the real, uncomfortable, liberating secret. Doing what no one praises for far longer than anyone thinks is reasonable. You don't need more inspiration or motivation. You need a boring routine so sacred, so repeatable, so yours, that the world eventually has no choice but to respect it.
That's the blueprint Eminem gave us, saying, you don't have to be born special. You just have to keep showing up, especially when no one's watching.
So now the question flips back to you, listening right now. What's that one habit you do in silence? The one that feels pointless, invisible, maybe weird, but might just be your greatest gift, your superpower.
Ever had that? One small thing, done alone, daily. Nobody notices, but it keeps you sane, centered, grounded. Journaling pages no one reads. Running before dawn, fixing things no one thanks you for. Practicing a skill in isolation.
Maybe deep down you felt it was meaningless. A personal quirk, something you just do.
But what if that invisible habit, that quiet repetition, is the very thing that defines your future? Eminem didn't know those hours writing on napkins and factories on buses would become platinum records, global fame, a $250 M legacy.
Didn't know those 10,000 unreleased verses built the creative machine that never slept, always kept him ready. He just kept showing up again and again until the world had to listen.
So for you, we turn the mic. What's the one thing you've been doing in the dark? that deserves to be brought into the light, even just for yourself. Share it maybe, or don't. Keep it sacred, keep it yours. But whatever you do, don't stop showing up.
Because if no one told you today, your habit, that quiet, consistent thing you do, it matters more than you think.
Greatness doesn't shout, it repeats.